small town tucked between swaying meadows and blue-green hills, where the houses breathed the scent of bread and chimney smoke, there lived a group of children who roamed like the wind. They raced through wheat fields, slid down hills on cardboard, and made daisy crowns with grass-stained fingers. Among them were two inseparable friends, Meera and Theo. They were both 17, but different in ways that made them perfectly matched. Meera, with her thoughtful eyes and wild curls, was the kind to stop and listen to the hum of bees or wonder why the clouds moved so slow. Theo was all motion and spark, quick to laugh, always the first to leap from a branch or step into the creek without testing the water. Their bond was a quiet one. No need for constant chatter. They understood each other in glances, in the way children sometimes do before the world teaches them otherwise. The summer days stretched long and golden. Every afternoon, they wandered past the wooden fence that bordered their neighborhood, through the wheat and into the sea of wildflowers. It was a land that felt untouched, Olderan's town, full of color and secret rhythms. The other kids liked to stay close to the trails, but not Meera and Theo. They believed that everything truly magical lived beyond the edges, where the grass grew taller and the air hummed with things unnamed. One day, as the sun spilled like molten honey over the hills, they stumbled upon something new. It was hidden beneath a dip in the meadow, where the earth curved inward like a breath being held. There, wrapped in shadow and light, grew a strange bush, unlike any they'd seen. Its vines were thick and dark as river mud, tangled in a mess of thorns and blooms. The flowers were red, too red, each one shaped like a burst of flame, and the petals shimmered as though they were wet, though no dew had fallen.
"It smells like magic,"
Meera whispered, and it did. The air around it pulsed with sweetness, a scent so rich it made her dizzy, like honey, roses, and something darker, like cinnamon left too long in the sun. Theo knelt down, eyes wide.
"It's like fire made into a flower."
They reached out together, fingers brushing the petals at the same time. A sharp sting. Meera yelped and jerked her hand back, a tiny crimson bead rising from the pad of her finger. Theo winced too, but didn't pull away. Instead, he stared at the blood, a look of wonder on his face.
"It hurts,"
Meera said, sucking her finger. Theo smiled faintly.
"Yeah, but not too much. It's a weird kind of hurt."
He pressed his thumb to another thorn, slower this time.
"Like the flower knows we touched it."
Meera frowned.
"That's silly. Flowers don't know things."
He looked at her, his eyes a strange mix of boy and something older.
"Maybe not in the way people do, but this one feels alive, like it wanted us to feel it."
They sat there for a long while, poking gently at the stems, finding spots where the thorns barely grazed the skin, just enough to sting, not enough to bleed. Meera began to understand what Theo meant. The pain wasn't nice, exactly, but it made her feel awake. Like every nerve in her body was suddenly alert. It was a secret kind of feeling, private and thrilling. She touched the same thorn again, slower this time. A tiny scratch bloomed red across her palm.
"It's like it's telling a story,"
she whispered.
"But it only speaks in pinches."
They laughed at that, not quite knowing why, and lay down beside the bush, letting the sun kiss their skin while the breeze played with their hair. The sky began to fade into oranges and purples.
"We should go,"
Meera said softly, but neither of them stood. That night, Meera dreamed of the flower. It grew across her ceiling and walls, blooming from cracks in the plaster. The petals opened and closed like mouths. Thorns reached out, brushing her cheeks like fingers. She woke with her heart racing, unsure if she'd been scared or comforted. Downstairs, her mother was humming while packing lunches for Sweek. Everything smelled like toast and old coffee. Normal, safe. Meera stared at her hands. The scratches had faded, but a strange ache lingered under her skin.
What happened to your arm?
Her mother asked, noticing a faint red line near her elbow. Meera hesitated.
We found some flowers.
Her mother frowned.
Were they thorny?
She nodded.
Sweetheart, wildflowers aren't always safe. Some things that look pretty can still hurt you. Remember that.
Meera nodded, but a strange warmth bloomed in her chest. The flower had hurt her, but it had also made her feel something beautiful, something the grown-ups didn't talk about. The next day, Meera and Theo returned to the meadow. The bush was waiting, as if it had always been there. The flowers swayed gently, though the air was still. This time, Meera brought a ribbon from her drawer, a scrap of pink silk from a birthday dress, long outgrown. She tied it to one of the lower branches.
For us,
She said.
so it knows we came back.
Theo smiled and did the same with a bit of twine. Then they pressed their hands into the vines, letting the thorns leave delicate red trails across their skin. Like a secret language, they began to give the flowers names. One with a darker center was Ember. Another with long curling petals became Whisper. Each touch became a ritual, a mixture of fear and delight. Sometimes Meera would cry out and Theo would laugh, or the other way around. But always they stayed. They became gentle with the pain, learning its rhythm. They never bled too much, never enough to leave a scar. But summer doesn't last forever. The days grew shorter. Meera and Theo still visited the bush, but something began to change. One afternoon, the sky turned storm gray and the air grew heavy. Theo was quieter than usual, fidgeting with a broken shoelace. Meera reached out to the flower called Ember, but her hand shook. She couldn't bring herself to touch it. Theo noticed.
What's wrong?
I don't know.
She said, barely above a whisper.
It feels different today. Like it doesn't want us here.
Theo frowned.
Or maybe we don't want to be here.
She didn't answer. They sat in silence, listening to the wind rustle the grass.
I dreamed about it again.
Theo said.
Last night. But it was dying. The petals were falling off and it kept whispering, but I couldn't understand.
Meera felt a lump rise in her throat.
Maybe we shouldn't come anymore.
Theo looked at her.
But it's ours.
I know. But sometimes, even beautiful things can go bad.
Theo didn't reply. He just pulled a thorn loose from the bush, twisting it until it snapped. He stared at it, then tucked it into his pocket. They didn't go back next day. Weeks passed. The flowers faded with the cold. Meera walked by the meadow once from a distance. The bush was still there, dark and bare, no more flames dancing on its branches. Winter came early that year. Theo stopped coming over. His parents said he was sick, something with his lungs. Meera wrote him notes but never got a reply. One gray afternoon, she walked past his house and saw him through the window, curled in bed, pale and small. She pressed her hand to the glass as if he could feel it. The meadow lay under snow now, The wildflowers were gone, only brittle stems remained. One day in spring, Meera returned alone. Her hair was longer, her legs leaner, but her heart still carried the shape of that summer. The bush was there, alive again. Green buds curled along the vines. New blossoms were just beginning to peek open, soft and red and waiting. She reached out. The thorn caught her skin, and a small drop of blood welled up. It hurt. But beneath the sting was something warm, an echo, a memory, a promise. She smiled through tears. She didn't stay long, just enough to tie a fresh ribbon to the branch, yellow this time, like the sun, like hope. And as she turned to go, she heard footsteps behind her.
Meera?
She spun around. Theo stood there at the edge of the meadow, a little thinner than before, paler, but smiling. The same crooked smile that had always made her heart feel braver.
Theo!
She gasped, running toward him. They collided in a tight hug, laughter bubbling out between them.
I wasn't sure if you'd come today. I wasn't sure if you'd be well enough.
Theo nodded, eyes shining.
The doctors say I turned a corner. They said it might have been the warmth, something about spring doing what medicine couldn't.
They walked to the bush together, like no time had passed. The wind was soft, curling through the grass like fingers, and as the two of them stood side by side, something miraculous happened. More buds opened, dozens. Tiny red blossoms unfurled in a ripple, like the bush had taken a breath and exhaled joy. Meera laughed.
It remembers us.
Theo reached out and brushed a petal, careful of the thorn.
I think it missed us.
The two of them sat in the grass, knees touching, watching the bloom return in waves. And in that secret place, between laughter and scar, between memory and renewal, the thorn and the blossom welcomed them home.